All right, it is Friday, May 15th, and get your word building pace. Word building pace number 10. It is time to find out what happens to George Gerbil. Ooh, remember when we left off yesterday? Were they lost? Were George and Ginger lost? Remember? They went out in the woods. They went out looking for clues. And look at the tall grass. Ginger and George. And they had to think about it. Let's find out what happened. Every time the Gerbil family made 4 jars of joyful gerbil jelly, one of the jars was gone. George Gerbil sat out with his big sister Ginger Gerbil to look for clues to the mystery of the missing jelly jar. Mama Gerbil wanted her little gerbils to think to find the answer to the problem. George Gerbil and Ginger Gerbil looked everywhere. At last, George Gerbil looked all around. All George Gerbil could see was the tall green grass. George Gerbil and Ginger Gerbil were lost. What are they going to do? Ginger Gerbil took George Gerbil's little paw gently into her own paw. Do not be afraid, George Gerbil. Like Mama Gerbil always says, now is the time when we must think. We must use our heads and find the way home. George Gerbil nodded his furry head. George Gerbil began to think hard. What should the gerbils do? What do you think they should do to find their way home? Think about it. What do you think? Pray? I would first pray. I would say, Lord, open my eyes to see the way home. Help me, Holy Spirit, to find my way home. What else do you think? Maybe if they had a cell phone they could call. Yeah, that's right. Anything else? Think about it. Suddenly, George Gerbil's eyes lighted up. George Gerbil had a bright idea. Ginger Gerbil, we must get up high. We must get up high enough to see over this tall grass, said George Gerbil excitedly. You are using your head, George Gerbil, cried Ginger Gerbil. If we get up high, we may be able to see our cage. We will be able to see which way to go to get home again. So George Gerbil walked out a wee bit farther, just a little bit farther. There, George Gerbil shouted. There is a very large anthill. Quickly, George Gerbil and Ginger Gerbil climbed up to the top of the anthill. Turn to page 19. 19, 1 and a 9. Look. George, look, they got up to where they could see, and they climbed up. They found an anthill, didn't they? Quickly, George Gerbil and Ginger Gerbil climbed up to the top of the anthill. Oh, exclaimed Ginger Gerbil. This anthill is not high enough. We still can't see over the tall grass. Better think some more. They couldn't see over the anthill wasn't high enough. What are they going to do next? Think some more, said George Gerbil, so things got quiet. George Gerbil was thinking. Ginger Gerbil was thinking too. I know! Shouted Ginger Gerbil. George Gerbil, let's climb back up the anthill. Then you climb on my back. You may be able to see over the tall grass if you stand on my back. Oh, boys and girls, Should children ever climb on each other's back? Children should never climb on each other's back, but it is all right for gerbils to do so. Okay? So that's what they did. They went back to the anthill, and George got on Ginger's back. Ginger Gerbil stooped so George Gerbil could jump up on her back. They're working together, aren't they? They are cooperating. They're being responsible, aren't they? Can you see, George Gerbil? Can you see? Asked Ginger Gerbil hopefully. George Gerbil could not see. George Gerbil could not see because he was jiggling back and forth too much. Before George Gerbil could have said, "Joyful Gerbil jelly," he found himself all jumbled down. George Gerbil went rolling down the ant hill. Well, that was a nice idea, puffed George Gerbil, but it just didn't work. I know, said Ginger Gerbil with a smile. We'll just think of something else to help us find our way back to the cage. Suddenly, cheet, cheet, a policeman's whistle blew. Cheet! Oh, turn the page. Look. Who is that? A policeman ant. He's got his whistle. Cheet, cheet, cheet. Then George Gerbil and Ginger Gerbil stooped down to look more closely. Itty-bitty ants were marching all over the anthill. Ants, ants, ants were everywhere. The ant policeman was directing ant traffic. George Gerbil whispered into Ginger Gerbil's ear, "Policemen can help lost gerbils find their way home." Ginger Gerbil nodded. "Mr. Policeman, may we speak with you for just a jiffy?" Cheet! The ant policeman blew his whistle once more. All the ants stopped marching. All the ants looked at George Gerbil and Ginger Gerbil. George Gerbil and Ginger Gerbil looked at all the ants. George Gerbil saw that each little ant was carrying luggage, a suitcase. Oh, that's what these blue things are, suitcases. There's the policeman with his whistle and the suitcases. They were carrying suitcases, luggage, luggage. Every ant had a jolly smile on his tiny brown face. "Hello, friendly little ants," said George Gerbil. "Where are you ants going? Why do you need all that luggage?" "Oh, little gerbils, we ants are so happy today," said the smiling ant policeman. "I am directing ant traffic. All the ants are going to Jelly Mountain for a holiday." "Ah, well, that's just jolly," said George Gerbil. "I know ants like jelly." "Oh, yes, we ants need to get enough. We love jelly. We ants enjoy jelly," nodded the ant policeman. "We are going to fill our luggage with jelly. We ants need to get enough jelly to feed all through the long, cold winter." Just where is Jelly Mountain?" asked Ginger Gerbil. "Well, Jelly Mountain is right near your gerbil cage," answered the ant policeman. George Gerbil's eyes shined. "Oh, Mr. Policeman, Ginger Gerbil and I have been trying to find out just what happened to our jars of joyful gerbil jelly," exclaimed George Gerbil. "I imagine that each time we gerbils opened the cage door, a jar of jelly jiggled off the edge of the porch," exclaimed Ginger Gerbil. "The jars of jelly must have rolled into the grass and the jelly must have poured out of the jars and made a mountain of jelly. The ants smiled. Well, however it happened, we are thankful Jelly Mountain came to be. We needed jelly to feed all the ants. You gerbils did a good job on the jelly. It's delicious. The ants, George Gerbil chuckled. So our joyful gerbil jelly helped another large, needy family after all. Mr. Policeman, Ginger Gerbil asked politely, may George Gerbil and I just follow you ants to Jelly Mountain? We need to find our way back to our gerbil cage. Well, of course, said the ant policeman as he blew his whistle. Cheet, cheet, and the ant traffic began to go again. George Gerbil and Ginger Gerbil marched behind the ants. Well, the mystery of the missing joyful gerbil jelly is solved, said George Gerbil. Our jelly job turned out just jolly. Now we know what happened to all the jelly, don't we? All right, stay tuned for our questions and vocabulary. Back in just a minute.